еден на еден специјал, значи малку обменуваме работа, ама ова беше шанса која гревата е да се пропушти. Излеговме надвор од студио, бидејќи во Скопје се одржа Македонија 2025 самитот, 10 годишнина, јубилеј, имаше прекрасни гости и, како што реков, наистина убава шанса да направиме еден малку поинаков разговор надвор од студио, онака по-релаксиран, по-долг, да не мора да се кратиме во 20 минути да биде, така да пробавме да направиме една убава екипа, која се состои од две прекрасни дами и еден господин. Најпрво Ана Дивац, која е дипломирана актерка, потоа се мажи за Владе Дивац и ништо од актерството, станува бизнис жена. Тоа го, но сепак ја основа Дивац фондацијата, која е веројатно на цел регион, мислам дека најголемата од тој тип. Значи, чисто кратко, само како бројки, 700.000 луѓе кои што директно имале помош од Дивац фондацијата, работите со 700 компании, околу 700.000 индивидуалци, 20 милиони долари се инвестирани до сега во Србија, така? Но сепак работите и пошироко. Тоа е Ана. Кетрин Константинидес, ние е активистка за појма нема што зборувам. You have no clue what I'm saying right now. I can go like whatever I want.
You say very nice things.
You say I'm an accountant.
Exactly. Кетрин е климатска активистка, Кетрин е борец за човекови права, доаѓа од Јужна Африка, во едно време дури е и мис Јужна Африка, замислете. Да, ќе ни каже се за тоа. И права, да речам, македонско-америчка бизнис легенда Мајк Зафировски, кој што да не му ги броиме нели сите места на кои што бил, ете, се уште е во борд на директори на Боинг, веќе си работи и приватен бизнис и сето тоа, и да не трошиме многу време да си фатиме со ред. So, a lovely group, an interesting panel. I really hope we will make it a good time. So tell me about your childhood, any one of you. Like, what's the first thing that pops up in your mind? Because you come from, I mean, obviously, Serbia, Macedonia, South Africa. Let's hear it. Like, what's the first thing that comes in?
Maјk and I, we come from the same country, actually. We came from
Exactly.
Yugoslavia.
Exactly.
And then later we got divorced, right? Yeah, different countries.
Yeah, we're still friends.
Yeah, but we
still
still
friends.
have like a similar, like probably memories about that time, right?
Let's try and hear it, yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind is vodno.
Vodno. Awesome.
From the time I was 5 or 6 years old, every Sunday, we used to climb up to Vodno with probably 15, 20 friends from kindergarten originally, then
So no
elementary
parents,
schools.
no parents,
No,
grandparents,
just ourselves,
kids.
yeah.
You
Used to
weren't
play.
afraid, you know,
Not at all.
you get
It was
lost.
just- it's
You knew Vodno like
like
the
back of
your
my
phone?
hand, absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Lots of stories comparing how things are going in school, but also making plans for the future. So to this day, when I want to relax and meditate, I think of those days,
Great.
being free. And anyway,
Did you dream of becoming what you are today?
oh no, as a youngster, I wanted to be a politician or a soccer player.
Oh, really?
You would have made a good politician, believe
Politics
me.
used to be a noble profession.
Ah, yeah. Not so much now.
He's
Maybe
too
not.
good for politician. No.
But he would have been
He would be
great.
terrible politician.
You
but-
think?
Yeah, because he's a great businessman. Like he cannot be a great
makes
politician.
Makes sense. What about you, Anna?
I really had like a happy childhood, you know, like growing
Where did
up
you grow up?
in Kraljevo. That's
Okay.
like a close to Belgrade, close to
Okay.
Kragujevac. Was like a happy time, you know, like great concerts, great music, great art, freedom.
Who's your favorite?
A favorite I loved really Smak. Remember
Really?
from Kragujevac, Točak, and if you listen now their music, they're unbelievable even today.
Even today.
Vladimir Stefanovski, he's one of my favorite. Bijelo dugme everybody loved, you know.
Yeah.
So that was my like a favorite music.
So where did that actress thing came from? Like,
Yeah, you know what? Like I really, when I was thinking what I wanted to do, I wanted to be like either journalist,
okay.
psychologist, or like actress, because I wanted to have a chance to experience many different lives from different point of views. I mean, like I really acted a little bit like in America, not that much because I was raising kids. Brother screwed me up completely.
I mean,
that's like a life happened. You
somebody's
know?
gotta do it.
Yeah. So he went with his career. I stayed home. You know.
Lovely career, by the way.
But you know what? I had the chance. Life presented me many different like life experiences. So in a different way, I actually got it what I wanted to.
Well, yeah, probably. Okay, we'll get back to that now. Going over to South Africa, what's childhood like over there? I mean, for you personally, what was it like?
For me, if I think of my childhood growing up, I remember my fondest memories are in my garden at home with my dad. He used to tell us about every plant and tree and about the fairies that lived in our garden. And he really instilled in my sister and I that we were responsible to take care of the earth through the door of that garden that we had access to. So I think that for me is a strong memory. And the other thing I spent all my time doing as a child, I didn't know if I wanted to be a politician or not, but what I did know was that I had an affinity to this great man that was our president, who was Nelson Mandela. So I used to write letters to him every single week.
No way.
Absolutely, I'd write letters to
What did you write,
president.
like?
I would write the ideas I had for him, the things
Dear
I think
Mr.
he should
Mandela.
do. Absolutely. And in fact, somebody recently told me that there is a book in our parliament that is apparently about this size, and they have published every letter from every child around the world that
And
used to
half
write
of
letters.
the book is your letters.
And in
Yours.
and in that
She
book,
was
my
very
letters are there.
persistent kid, yeah.
I was.
But let's explain to people, because not many of them know, like, where does this love for this man come from? Like, you're a kid.
Yes.
You do not know nothing about politics or something like that. Like, but you do love him.
Yes.
So explain that.
I grew up in a home that was very liberal and open-minded, and so my parents would share with us what was happening in our country. Unfortunately, for people who may not know, South Africa is really a place that has a very dark history, a very ugly past, one that segregated people based on the color of their skin. And I grew up in a home where, strangely, even though my parents were white, they were considered non-white because we had a foreign surname. And because of that reason, they were considered, and my mom grew up and she was bullied because she wasn't English and she wasn't Dutch. And so she had a really tough time. So I grew up in a home where...
English and Dutch.
Yes.
And everybody else.
Pretty much. But if you were black, you were the lowest class of human being. And you were treated in a way that I'm embarrassed that is our history. But unfortunately it is. But having said that, there was this great iconic man that rose to the forefront in a fight and a struggle to make sure that we would become free. And he had the choice to go into civil war or to take a peaceful resolution. And he chose to unite our country. And I think that for me, knowing that in some way or form as a child was a beautiful thing. And I grew up believing that this man was the hero of our people and our country.
Mandela is one of my life heroes. You know, it's like such an example how we should live our lives personally, professionally, nationally, on every single level, because he was. It's very hard to forget injustice, hate, and to turn everything around and inspire absolutely the whole world. And I think that's one of the things that we should learn on this region. We should really start learning one thing: to forget about the past and to come together around our values. And we all have the same values, much more than the differences.
Read up on Mandela, kids.
Yeah,
read
it's
up.
beautiful.
Adults too,
Definitely.
Adults too. Yeah.
Definitely.
And talk to me about America. You come there. So what's the first kind of shock that you witnessed coming there, late 80s, early 90s?
You know what was the biggest shock? A supermarket, because at that time in Serbia we just had a small supermarket. So you have for example, I don't know, 2-3 different kinds of cheeses, you know, there's hundreds kinds of cheeses, you're in heaven, you know. So McDonald's, they just opened McDonald's in Belgrade, and it was a big line, and it was such a luxury to go to McDonald's. We go to America, McDonald's
Everywhere.
It's very cheap. We gain like 10 kilos in a month.
Yeah.
So I remember we are eating McDonald's milkshakes, and our neighbor, he was some famous football player, and he was telling us like, why are you eating that junk food? And I'm thinking, this is junk food. I mean, this is best. This is the best food.
And that's early 90s, but when you, Mike, came, that was early 70s.
Late in 1969.
Yeah, so that's different probably. What's America back then?
I mean, two things. One, I still remember like yesterday, we had 50 people at the train station saying goodbye. So I was not writing to Mandela every day, but I used to write 40, 50 cards to my friends here. So it's very hard. I was very homesick on one hand.
Yeah, you were how old?
I was 15 and a half.
That's a
So
tough,
it's very
tough
homesick on
age
one
for,
hand. I really wanted to hate America on one hand, but at the same time, I could not believe how welcoming the community was.
How do you explain that? That's so like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's a nation without nation. It's like
I mean, I love US, I love Macedonia, and I love the US. And so it took 2 or 3 years, but it is I mean, proves, obviously, US has a very dark history as well, particularly when it comes to race. But if you look at 90% of the original intention, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, it doesn't matter where you come from, or what you represent. It is just a wonderful place of what's possible. Again, far from perfect. In the first memory, I still remember like it was yesterday, my English, I probably knew 100 words. So it's a history class, I remember. We came in April, went to regular high school on a Monday. So you try to get acclimated. I remember they asked me to talk about Yugoslavia and Macedonia.
okay.
I tried to get up, my knees were shaking, and I was just so nervous. I said, someone said, give me 3 weeks.
I'll tell you all about it.
I need to prepare. So you stay up late every night, and then I gave the talk on Yugoslavia and Macedonia 3 weeks later. The kids gave me a standing ovation.
Great.
But I still remember my knees shaking and stutter, just you start sweating. But they just welcomed me like I was one of theirs.
That's great.
Just outside Cleveland, a very significant Slavic population, Poles, Serbs, Macedonians.
Near Cleveland, there's the Macedonia, Ohio. There's basically, right? Yeah.
Actually, a funny story of that one, when I became CEO of GE Lighting,
Okay.
Thomas Edison started General Electric, and I was very honored. In 1999, we moved from London to Cleveland. I'm giving a town hall meeting, a couple thousand employees. So I'm from Macedonia. I talked for a little bit. And they asked me, did you go to Macedonia High School? Which is 20 miles from Cleveland. I said, no, I grew up in a different Macedonia, 6,000 miles away.
You wouldn't know my Macedonia.
Not Macedonia, Ohio, yeah.
Секоја кесичка чај е произведена следејќи ја традицијата и е зачинета со единствена грижа и љубов за вас. Good Nature, најдоброто чајникот на природата. Алкалоид, Скопје.
Долага зимска ноќ, паѓаат први снегови. Мајде пробај ме на -20.
Потопло, поевтино, поквалитетно.
Еко Лайф пелет за вас.
Погледни поинако. Не сум само празна кутија. Утре може да се вратам во нова форма. Амбалажата што има минато, може да има и иднина.
Ослободете се од хартијата и од композитот во новите сини контейнери во вашиот град. Заедно за почиста животна средина. Селектирај иднина. Пакомак.
Нов крал, нови правила.
Сега пеам заљубен, преградот Марко. Пиво за уживање.
Една поинаква планина во едно поинакво светло. Проверете во нашиот ски календар на skimavrovo.com. И ова лето помини си фараонски во Египет со савана. All inclusive сместување во хотел со 4 звезди и авиокарта по цени од 329 евра. Уплатите се веќе започнати. Не чекај, пакувај се за лето 2019 со савана.
Празничните специјалитети се повкусни со маслото на брилијант. Твојот прв избор. Прочитај повеќе.
Со потекло од чистите и зелени планински долини, направени по стари, традиционални рецепти. На современ начин и модерни технологии. До совршен вкус. 100% млечни производи. 100% малешевски производи. Купувајте малешевски производи.
Со секој изгреј сонце се раѓа нов ден, а денот е најубав кога почнува дома. Онаму каде што си сигурен, безбеден, среќен. Затоа сме тука. Голден Арт. Дом, не само стан.
Израснати под топлото македонско сонце и одгледани со неверојатна љубов и внимание. Највкусните македонски вишни, преточени во прекрасен вишна нектар за секојдневно уживање. Нов Вива премиум вишна нектар, без конзерванси и без адитиви. Природно си е природно.
Секоја кесичка чај е произведена следејќи ја традицијата и е зачинета со единствена грижа и љубов за вас. Good Nature, најдоброто чајникот на природата. Алкалоид, Скопје.
Не ја видов, тука сте биле. Имам нов збор за денеска. Фенви значи носталгија, ама не обична, него носталгија за место кај што не си бил, значи како да сакаш да не си во местото каде што си во моментот. Нешто како јас во моментов.
Мамо, тата, ова жаре, дечко ми.
Фенви. Сакам да кажам без разлика на кој јазик е, некои нешта сите исто ги чувствуваме, некои нешта сите исто ги сакаме. Како на пример добра шолја чај. Спасувај Good Nature. Спасувај брату. And what about like starting business? Ketrin, you're in business since like 15, 16-year-old, which is mind-blowing. How does a 16-year-old girl even start her own business? What was it like?
You know, I think at the time when I decided to start the company, I didn't know what business was. I didn't come from a home where my parents were not business people, but I knew what I wanted to achieve, and in order to achieve the community work I wanted to do, I needed money and I needed to fund it. So after school, I used to run a company that facilitated brand and public relations work, and I would lie about my age because I was able to do all these things and actually started to get huge jobs and a lot of work, and so never told people I was at school. And my sister and I worked together. We lied very well about our age. I still lie about my age. It's now part of what I do. Exactly, absolutely. How old do you want me to be? I'll be that age. And I think being so young, the failures were not failures. For me, they were great lessons. I got up and I carried on. I never had the pressure or the mindset that I now have to reach certain objectives by X age, or these are the business milestones. It was really walking a journey. I had no idea what we were doing, but at the time I also didn't know that we were social entrepreneurs trying to achieve objectives in achieving, you know, social goals of social justice through a business venture. So yes, it was hard. The greatest challenge was always being the youngest person around the table, and often still being the only woman around a table. And these are two things that I still face even right now. And I think that they're great challenges that I have had to carry and learn to face every single day.
Yeah, Anna, tell me give me an input on that, like being a woman in a man's world. I mean, like these executives and big shots most of them are men, right?
You're talking to me
Yeah.
now. Like I didn't have that problem because really coming from Yugoslavia, we didn't have that problem. We always felt like the same as men. So like I didn't, even if it was something, I didn't perceive it as like because I'm a woman. So like my reason why I went in the business, I finished university. I always like, I know I can do many things. So that opportunity showed up. And I wanted personally to prove myself that I can make money, because I just didn't want it to be like, what is your job? I am married, you know, and I have kids. Yeah. It's a good title, you know, but like opens a lot of doors. So I was okay, if it's like that, then let me use that door, you know, in advantage. Yeah. So I opened like a restaurants, nightclubs. I was in that kind of, I'm an entertainer.
What was the nightclub life?
It was so much fun, you know, like I tell my kids,
city, like?
I have to go to work and then I go to nightclub. I mean, like a man. No, it was Sacramento actually.
Okay, later.
Was the first like club that changed the whole club scene in Sacramento. Even today, people are very grateful to me because I changed the whole outlook.
What was so innovative?
You know what, like Sacramento was like a small city, you know, they didn't have that like a cool vibe from big cities, and that's what they brought. So at that time, Sacramento was first time city that people came only to have fun because of entertainment.
Еден на еден, овозможено од Витаминка. Свет на вкусови.
What about like celebrities? They were regulars?
You know what, like we really had a lot of celebrities, and for me, like when something is happening in your life, you don't see it. Like then later, then you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. So that was
Just
one of the
things. Just give me a sample of that. Like what's like one instance that 2 days or weeks go by and you were like, wow, that happened.
Not like I needed like actual years, because I was surrounded by celebrities. So they were my friends. So you don't, and they're normal people, you know. So like later, when everything, 10 years later, you're thinking, oh, I should make some pictures. You know, I should make some memories, you know. Like usually I don't take like a picture because I know memories are in my heart. It's experience what counts for me. But like would be nice memories for the city, but I didn't do it, doesn't matter.
Okay. So, I mean, like you say, all normal people and everything, but what about corporate America? Like, I mean, celebrities are one thing, but I believe, and do tell me if it's true, like corporate America is totally like another level of they're not so famous per se, but in terms of like money and power and everything, that's where the real things lie. What about them? Are they normal? Like the biggest corporate executives?
I mean, it's amazing that people that are probably most effective are able to connect with their employees and with their customers. So not obviously all of them, but good majority of their leaders can really connect with the people. And by that is that their priorities are quite balanced. And I probably should go back, make a statement at 50,000 foot level. There's such a misunderstanding about business. Is business good or bad? Particularly when I used to run GE in Hungary right after the fall of the war. There's the view that business is evil in many ways. I mean, you would even sell your grandmother to make your quarterly profits. And there's the farthest thing from the truth. There's many bad businesses, just the way there's many bad politicians, many bad basketball players, bad actors, bad environmental people. And conversely, there's some great ones in all of those occasions. And the right businesses, I mean, all the healthcare innovations, the communications, travel. And I'm there to say, even to motivate the youth, that well-run businesses are a true gift to society.
They are, yeah.
They give real good jobs, purpose. They provide lots of taxes to be able to provide for education, for arts, for the environment. So simply that one comment that well-run businesses, where people lead with values and aspirations, is what separates many of the best countries in the world.
Yep.
To many
That's
of
why I believe we should nurture, protect, like help private entities and businesses in Macedonia. We should do a lot better job than that.
Small and mid-sized businesses in particular.
And what about you were with one of corporate America's icons, Jack Welch, for how many years?
25.
25 years. What did you learn from him? Like, what's the takeaway from
Passion.
This? Passion.
Passion.
You gotta have it.
Second to none, and integrity, values, speaking your mind. So this is, again, Jack is 5'4", just a little bit taller than Desmond Tutu, so it shows your sizes, doesn't matter what's in your heart. But his ability to simplify complexity.
Simplify complexity, that's a great,
So the whole view of a speed, simplicity, and self-confidence, and he used to say, look, many times you ask people to come to the work and leave the brain at the door. So you trust someone to take care of your kids, whether they're in church and Boy Scouts, other activities, and somehow you ask them to check their brain because you don't trust them. You give them all these procedures versus liberate the organization. So it's Jack was amazing, but also people like what Bill Gates has done, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell. I mean, very fortunate to
You
probably
got
have
acquainted
met.
with some of them?
I mean, lots of those are good friends.
Great, great.
Jack I just spoke with
Who's
last
the
week.
most distinguished personality, character-wise?
Welch by far.
By far.
Yeah. He was, again, he was probably the best CEO of the 20th century. Bill Gates is exceptionally impressive. I'm not sure what you think about Steve Ballmer. He runs now the Los Angeles Clippers, but he was exceptional. Warren Buffett, actually.
They're all big, like, philanthropists. All of them.
I mean, do you have to? I mean, what I'm saying is there a pressure from society, like when you reach a certain level, you really have to go in philanthropy? Like that's
no, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
But you know what is like a thing, and I want to talk about like how proud I am being here in Macedonia for this event, Macedonia 2025, and I think like you as Macedonians should like be very proud what you have in this country. The people that come here and they put their like a best knowledge, best connection, everything best to make this society better. I think you should be very proud. I was very, very moved and inspired what they are doing, you know, and my reason is here because I was very inspired and we want to make it like a bigger, we want to make it like for the whole region. And like I think you should have them like be very fortunate to have like those people here with you today, because like they're like the right example in which direction every person in this country can go. Like they don't have to be CEO in America, but they can be the best in the things that they are doing. So there is no like a stopping, except like a stopping and putting limitation in your own mind. And I think that's one of the problems in Macedonia, in Serbia, like in the Balkans. I think like humans are everywhere the same. So when you come to the certain level of success, when you're successful, your ego becomes much smaller. So like then you feel one thing, okay, I accomplished everything. But you know what? You are not that satisfied as you thought you're gonna be when you have fancy car, fancy houses, like la la la, all of that. And then you say, okay, my life is only worth as how much I inspire others, how much I give to others. And like, I'm not supposed to tell you this because you have my mother, Teresa, who is from Macedonia, who spread that message all over the world. You know, like, you are rich as much as you give, and you're going to receive something that is not probably materialistic. You cannot hold it in your hands, but you hold it here, and changes your life tremendously. You actually only then become a full and happy and successful person.
Continuing on that subject, I just want to say, like, the whole organization, Macedonia 2025, it really deserves, for me personally, a lot bigger attention. Like, what you guys are doing for 10 years, I just want to say, like, to the people, just go to Google Macedonia 25. There are these tremendous talks online that you can visit, see from previous summits. There will be, of course, from this one. So definitely do that, because those people are doing this for 10 years now, and I just think we need to harness it a bit more.
If I could just make one comment, there's such an expectation from the government provides everything. And there's no one that good to provide. I still remember when I was in Hungary with GE and Jimmy Carter. I met him a couple of times, great human being.
Yeah, the president,
not
right?
necessarily a great president.
Yeah, but
a great human being. He did so much more actually after he became president. And remember, he was coming to Hungary with his very outstanding mission, Habitat for Humanity. He actually is a foundation. They build homes for needy people. I remember people saying, well, Jesus, I'm not going to go waste my time. What is he coming here going to fix 5 or 6 homes? How is that going to change the equation in Hungary of housing shortages? The government should be providing this. And I thought the mindset was that he's coming here for 5 or 6 houses for the weekend. If that level of a giving back becomes more of a norm in the society, how many problems can actually be addressed? And neighbors helping neighbors, people that have the ability to provide back. And so the whole issue is not only limited to the Balkans, it's to Europe and actually most of the world.
But you know, I want to ask about South Africa, because obviously, like Serbia, Macedonia, we are feeling that we're all the same, and there's this kind of people want to go in administration. They would rather go work for the government than go do something private. I mean, that's kind of the general consensus around here. Like, what's South Africa like?
People definitely don't want to work for government.
Don't want to work for government.
No. However, I want to just pick up on 2 things. You know, the comment you've made on citizenship and active citizenship is so important. And I think that that's a narrative the world over. We don't come from a communist past, but we still have, as a continent, the continent across has this expectation that government owes you something. And absolutely, government should be building houses, government should be cleaning our roads, but we are also at a point where I think the world has moved, and we also have to progress and say, well, how do I take ownership? What am I going to do to build the community that I want to live in? I come from a very poor background. We grew up, we were very poor. I probably will never be rich, but I also agree with the comment that you made. It takes nothing for you to do something good. It just takes the willpower and determination and the sheer belief that you can change a life to do that. And if you can pour who you are into the life of somebody else, you can change the course of another human being's entire journey. We've got a beautiful word in South Africa, and the word is called Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
And Ubuntu means that my humanity lies in you, and our humanity lies in the collective. So who I am is only possible because of who you are. But if we don't connect with each other as human beings, and we don't see our collective humanity in each other, we will never move forward. And so for us, trying to really readdress what government and public sector looks like is important. We need good people in politics. We need good people in power. And I don't think that enough good people stand up because of the bad rap that politics gets, because of the dirty space that it is. But I know in my space and in my journey, there's only so much you can do as an activist, as a member of civil society. There's only so much voice you can have. There are so many ears that you can whisper into to try and change the narrative, to try and influence policy. But I've got to a point where I also realize that there is no doubt you have to be inside a system to change it.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
The government to be able to enable things as opposed to control and drive things. That's a major, major difference.
Exactly. Let the businesses grow.
If you look at,
and you know what, and it's really important thing, just like one step at a time, because when we opened a foundation in Serbia, and that was the major reason we came back to Serbia, we wanted to inspire other people to open a foundation. So we were like a first one, and now there is like I'm sure there is at least 50 foundation in Serbia, and that's our goal for the whole region. You have to start first from yourself, from your home, and then like spread it out. So I mean, we have a great results because of that, not because of me or Vlade, because like a lot of people recognize that we are just channels.
Yeah.
So my message to
medium.
this beautiful country is like, just take that step. You have a great leaders, just like you have a great group of people. I mean, it's my honor, honestly. I'm so happy being here with the people like this. Just follow them, call them up. They are ready to give you their experience, their knowledge, their connections. Use that, you know, because like who knows from this country, I mean, like who's going to be like the next like a big thing in the whole world?
Yeah, the next
you know?
Maјk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The next Maјk.
Or the next Melanie Trump, for example.
Well,
yeah. I mean, why not?
We have beautiful girls over here. I mean, but culture-wise, and you two are in America for a long time. Like culture-wise, what are the differences in young people you see? And I don't know how much you're in the Balkans, but like there's kind of this perception that everybody's just kind of lazy, everybody's just waiting for his dad or mom or whoever to finish the job for them. Is it like that, or you see a different picture when you come here?
There's, of course, exceptions. I mean, there was a wonderful panel yesterday seeing what's possible in Macedonia as well. But in generality, I mean, there used to be a Russian proverb, you pretend to pay us and we pretend to work. And there's that level of expectations that I'm being exploited and I don't have the opportunities, and that's, I think, unfortunate. Still probably maybe the case to a certain level. You put the same people in Sweden, Germany, United States, and the people prosper just like this. And it's very frustrating for me to, number one, to able to motivate and convince the business community here that the youth here truly is exceptional, to challenge them, and also to inspire the youth for them to behave the way they will if they go overseas. And we don't have the answer to that, but I know through their education programs, we're seeing a very significant uptick in people's mindset of what's possible. And same thing for the businesses here. If you tell someone I trust you, I expect a lot out of you, and really then leave him or her alone, their performance increases substantially. So how to change the culture of empowering, expecting a lot, and rewarding appropriately.
But you've met them all, like all the prime ministers and presidents. They all came to you in America and everything. What did they say to you? Like,
I mean,
what did they say to you? Maјk,
no, but
gonna lend me some?
No, but the problem with politicians today, including the U.S., is you make promises when you run. And then you get in power, you start thinking about re-election. It just breaks my heart.
That's the only goal.
Not the only goal, but becomes preoccupation. The enemy is the other party.
Sure.
Look at Trump and Hillary. I mean, toxic. Zaev and Gruevski just as bad. In U.S., you have strong institutions. The country can survive and prosper, even with that level of a dislike. Not necessarily prosper the way it could. If you have a poor country like Macedonia or Serbia, you have politicians that really try to outdo one another. As opposed to trying to put the country first, the country and the people suffer.
Well,
so that's what I said, is that, I mean, there was a good saying yesterday, it's not if you're left or right, is the country going up or down.
Exactly.
And Macedonia has been going up, but starting from such a low base. We need to be going up much, much faster.
Yeah, sure.
So what I would tell the politician, do what you say when you're running for things. Another thing, corruption is a big element in most of the developing world.
Huge.
And another thing about kids and motivation, if you think you can get rich by being corrupt, that really frails the culture. So I do think that's so important. Toxic. So that's becoming so important, whether you're in business or politics. You win because of your values, because you work hard, because you have a right culture, as opposed to have a view that the system is not fair and that somehow has to be corruption for you to move forward.
But I believe we have to work on role models as well.
Absolutely.
We have to work on like who's a role model. Like, you know, is it get rich fast guy in politics? You know, just made fortune in 2 years, because a lot of them view them as role models instead of like some business guys that work like 20 years. They have been working in the same company, their own company, not changing the address or phone number or the account number and everything. They should be the real role models.
And I think that's a big like a responsibility on media. I'm sorry to say that.
Sure.
But that's like I was thinking like elite in one country is the most important thing. Maybe I would never become that elite, but that's my goal where I should go.
Aspire.
So I think that's what we should change. You know, like that's reason Nelson Mandela, he became elite in the whole world.
Yep.
Maybe I would never ever, I mean like I'm sure I would never ever reach like but I want to be him.
You're close to Mandela.
I want to become like
Exactly,
like that. And that's like I think the biggest change that any, especially like our society after all of this can prosper on. And I was listening to Obama now after like a presidency, and it was so interesting to me what he was saying. So he was inside of the White House, and you know what he said? The biggest change is how you can make only social movements. So he knew it. Even as the president of the United States,
the most
he
powerful
couldn't move. He couldn't make changes as much as we, as a society, as a people, as a normal people can make it. So like we should really be loud. You know, that's the only way how we can be listened by politicians and how we can like change things.
But speaking of idols, have you met him?
Obama?
No, Mandela.
I've met them both.
You've met them both? So
yes.
I've met
you just put Obama right there, you know, like, Obama?
Of course. I've met Desmond Tutu and Obama. I've not met Mr. Mandela.
So what was Mandela like? I mean, like, tell me about the first...
Tata was, he was larger than life, a very tall man.
Tall man,
and so he was physically larger than life, but you could feel his presence whenever he walked into a space. I remember I was probably about 12 or 13 the first time I was in a room where he was in, but he was making an address and we were singing the national anthem as children, so I was nowhere near him, but I could feel his energy and presence. I was 18 and I asked my mom to please take me to his house, and I would beg the security to let me meet him. And I sat on his pavement for about 12 hours, and then the security said, look, if you don't move, we're going to have to physically remove you. And I still didn't get to meet him. But what I didn't realize a year later was that I would be invited to have tea with him. I was going off to represent South Africa internationally for the first time, and I received this special invitation.
These are the Miss years, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so beauty opens many doors.
Even
to Mandela.
A very charming man. And I'll never forget the moment I walked into his office. I was so nervous and so excited, and I think I just couldn't believe that this moment was happening because it was all kept as a surprise to me. And as I turned around the corner and was about to see him, I tripped over his foot and landed on him.
No way.
So, he was so gracious, he was so wonderful. I was so embarrassed.
Awkward, right?
It was very awkward. But we spent the whole afternoon just talking, and I will never forget, I had asked him what was his life's greatest regret. And I will never forget, this great man said to me he wished he could have done more.
Wow.
And I think for somebody who has done so much for humanity, to still wish that you could have done more was such for me, it's such a moment. It's such an important thing to remember. And I also just believe that we all have the ability to do so much. It's exactly what you said. It doesn't matter who you are. You must lead from where you are. You don't need a title. You don't need a corner office. You don't need millions. And I learned that from him. And my life, I did not know my life would happen in a way that I would have so many encounters with this great man. And the next time I met him was when I was invited to a dinner that he was hosting, where he hosted, at the time, President Bill Clinton, And I got to have dinner with these incredible human beings. And I remember in that moment being
There's
this young
Mandela
girl
and Clinton together.
and Archbishop Tutu. That was in fact
And
the first
Archbishop
time.
Tutu.
Hey, Clinton
The
was in
first time.
heaven with Ketrin, you know?
And she threw to Clinton then.
Clinton was like, oh, this is a really good day for me. You know, forget about Mandela.
So
It was a lucky day for Clinton,
Oh,
yeah.
it was a great day. There
Nelson
was
was protecting
very protective. But it was just, I was so
She was like,
privileged
I
to
did
be
not
there.
trip over.
It was such an amazing moment. And it's so incredible because all my life as a little girl, I just dreamt of being in this man's space. And I brought those dreams to life in my pursuit, my determination of constantly writing to this man and constantly believing that my life would bring him into my space in some way.
I just thought of like, you have a memento of...
I do have a memento, and that memento I'm going to share with you. It's in my handbag. It's something I carry with me all the time. And that memento is many years later, in fact, about 6 years ago, I became very close with another great South African who spent 26 of the 27 years in prison with Nelson Mandela. His name was Ahmed Kathrada. And Uncle Kathy was a huge, huge freedom fighter in our country, a martyr for non-racialism, and sadly we lost him last year. But for one of my birthdays, we share a birthday week, and for one of my birthdays about 5 years ago, he took me on a tour of Robben Island. And we walked through the prison
Which is the
cells.
place where...
This is where the political prisoners were held.
Yeah.
And we walked through these prison cells. He gave me first-hand accounts of what it was like to be Indian, what it was like to be black in these cells, because there was actually a ranking. If you were colored, black or Indian, you were treated differently in this prison, which still for me is a horrifying reality of our past. But nonetheless, as a gift, I got a key, which is the replica of the key of Nelson Mandela's cell. And I keep that key with me always, because that key for me is a reminder that these great people that I stand on the shoulders of, they gave me the freedom that I could live in an open, democratic South Africa where I have a freedom to be whoever I wanted to be. But that comes with a responsibility. That key for me represents the responsibility I have to unlock the freedom of others. And that's why I do so much of the work that I do in my country, but on my continent. I work actively in the Western Sahara, fighting for the self-determination of the Sahrawi people. They are an entire nation forgotten by the world. And in my lifetime, those people will go home. I will do all that I can to unlock their freedom.
If you're not inspired by this time,
I'll
people...
vote for
Yeah, and you know, with all the, I mean, like it's such impressive story. And let's start this morning just like a forgetting your neighbor. Let's forget like your friend that maybe didn't do something right by you. Let's forget yourself for doing something that you didn't like about. Let's start like at that first step. If Mandela could forget his enemies for 30 years being in jail, exiting and being friends with everybody and having love, let's do that, you know, like, and then let's spread that message all over this, like a beautiful Balkan. Let's like just our energy, like that craziness that we have around ourselves, put in something positive.
You reminded me of Vlada and Dražan, the documentary and all of that. Like, do you remember those days? Like,
yeah, very well, yes.
Was Vlada like crushed by what has happened and everything? Like, what was it like?
I think we were all crushed, honestly. Like, we believed, I mean, we believed in something that, I mean, just like was gone in our mind, like very fast. One thing that unfortunately people here didn't know, we were friends and seeing each other secretly with Croatians, with Muslims, with everybody. And the diaspora from ex-Yugoslavia, even during the war, when we were killing each other, we were like this together because we speak the same language, we have the same vowels, we have like the same, like we have so many things that connect us. You know, like, so when I see that people, they're not friends here, they're not like, they have all of that nationality going on, they're friends, even this generation, in America, they're going out and having a good time. So my message to those kids here, forget about politics, because like, you know, we know, they're doing business. So like, my message to kids: forget, go have fun, make businesses together. You know, like make like art together. You know, like don't talk about past. Forget it. If Mandela could forget, like, hello, 30 years ago was the war. Like, let's move forward.
Yeah, and on a merrier note, like I must ask you, because I'm a huge fan of NBA. Like, going back to the times and everything.
Do you have some like a gossip? No.
Yeah. Like, and you know the guys. You know all of them. Like, who's couple of them who are really distinguished in their like being and character and everything. From all of these guys that we know, huge stars.
I can only say like my personal choice, you know, like because there is so many great people, but we all have like a. I loved Michael Jordan.
Really?
Oh
but everybody's saying he's like hell.
I was like always
privately.
telling Vlade, like I mean, like you know what? Like I'm not waiting for you after the game. I am waiting for Michael Jordan. You know, like I really. And from his teammates, I loved Weber. We are still
Chris
great
Weber?
friends.
Great.
Yes, like a great person. All of them, but there is like a Michael Jordan to me was like right. I mean, he was like unbelievable. He was like a
lived
panther.
in Chicago and
But
when Chicago won the first NBA title,
I mean, he was flying. You know, was like unbelievable. You know.
Did people? I mean, were players afraid of him, intimidated?
No, like you know, like how that goes. Like they can like kill each other on the court. After court, they're all friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, make jokes. You know, like but on a court they can like look like the biggest enemies. That's the beauty of the sport, and I think that's the beauty of the business also. You know, like you're doing like that, but after business you all have the same interests. You understand each other. Nobody can understand you as someone who is having the same passion.
Yeah, I believe that's really great, like a finish. That's awesome. So let's just wrap it up. What do we need? We need passion, right?
Yep.
Kind of a takeaways. Like we need passion. I saw that we need also kind of like gamification. We have to treat it as sort of a game. That passion and love brings kind of play to work.
Yeah.
Like you do not view work as a pressure or necessity or something you must do. It's more of a joy to do business, right?
Absolutely.
What else?
Not to be selfish. Like
Not
when
be
you're
selfish.
doing like for many other people, you become much more powerful. So like you're gonna have like more benefits, and not to limit yourself. Like ever don't limit yourself in any possible way. Like in business, in like nationality, religion. Do not do that. You know, like just see yourself as a part of the whole world, and don't compare yourself to anybody else, because like Maјk is successful in business. I mean, like someone else is gonna be successful in cooking lunch or raising kids, and that's great enough. You know, like don't compare yourself, but be the best as you can be, as you said. You know, and think about other people, because your life is gonna be much more richer and happier.
I'm not sure what gave me that gene, but I love great organizations.
Okay.
And give a talk maybe 15 years ago, and I said great organizations have 4 things in common: really high values, integrity, number 1, but real high values, high expectations, a real commitment to people and people development, and a meritocracy. You put those 4 things in place, and magic can happen.
You're golden.
And whether you lead, or you peer, or you follow, in that sort of environment, you give your best.
Yeah, and that's coming from the best, guys.
Yeah.
So
And like please, like if you have a chance, listen again. The values that we grew up on, the first day of the school in the Titus Yugoslavia, as a pioneers in the first day of school, what we were listening. And I was listening, I was crying. What values? Like I'm going to be a good friend, I'm going to be a good student, I'm going to respect my friends,
Oh, I forgot
elders,
that, yeah.
and I'm going to be the part of the freedom of the whole world.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So we should come up with something like that. It's not communism because it's not popular.
Bring
anymore.
back communism.
Like that's a great values, you know,
I
like
agree.
a great
The
high
problem-
stuff.
Exactly. So thanks, guys, and I hope that everybody who's watching had a good time and learned a lot and was inspired a lot. So do go to Google and check out Macedonia 2025. Check out their talks. Support and be part of Macedonia 2025.
Благодарам. Great to meet you.
No, благодарам на тебе.
Somebody see a Dennis Colbert of Macedonia, you're better than Dennis Colbert.
That's a great thing for me. Nobody knows who Colbert is.
And I think if like Macedonia 2025 doesn't make you proud as being Macedonian, I don't know what else can
We
make
only
you.
begin. We only beginning.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's try and make it the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks guys, and leaving you with the best from Macedonia. So we got for all of you Good Nature, you know Alkaloids teas.
Yeah.
I know you love them.
Yeah, Vera is a good friend. She's awesome,
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
We got
Great
Vitaminka,
tea she makes.
Mike, and of course we got the best juices, which is Viva. So we got all of you covered. So you can have you can have the best from Macedonia.
And a healthier day.
Healthier.
With all those like vitamins, all
Shelter,
of that.
exactly.
Good nature, yeah,
Good
that's
nature,
good.
the
Yeah,
best
thank
nature.
you.
И фала и на што не гледавте, значи ете малку поразлично од ова што го правиме цело време, ама се надевам дека уживавте бидејќи навистина беше супер шанса што ќе ни беше многу криво ако ја пропуштиме. Мајк, Кетрин и Јана беа тоа, се гледаме ние за 7 дена следна недела. Чао.